So Bob, crude is definitely standing out. Real weak today. Escalated after the selling, that is, after the EIA. What's the deal?
Well, as I normally would just bring up refinery utilization, which was a very big drop. Obviously, we had the storms participating in that. So it seems to me, when you're looking at the overall chart, that this is more of a case of OPEC production increase, which OPEC's production increased by 950,000 barrels. Also, we had Russia's Secretary General Robert Novak, their oil secretary, energy minister, whatever his official title is over there, basically say that they want OPEC to respond to the increase in demand they're seeing globally. They talked about demand being somewhere near pre-pandemic levels, not quite there yet. So there was this impression that he was going to get OPEC to do that. Now, OPEC's talked about kind of loosening the production cut reins anyway. They haven't quite done it until we saw this 950,000 barrel increase. Doesn't quite make up for what Iraq cut. So it seems to me to be just a tiny, tiny little storm of supply looking to go into what is essentially a slight uptick in demand, but I'm not seeing the demand Novak is saying. When I look at the demand figures, it doesn't seem to me like we're at pre-pandemic levels or anywhere close there yet.
Okay, so some of the suppliers are getting a little bit more comfortable, letting the reins go and letting some more oil come onto the market. And then I guess the EIA today, even though there's a draw, maybe the implicit take here from the market is that it's not strong enough to offset maybe some of the flow that's coming onto the market.
Right, and you've still got inventories well above the 5-year average. So if actually, here's the thing: if Russia isn't able to convince OPEC to respond to the perceived increase in demand, they're going to do it. Is essentially the way I took that when I saw it. So if you had longs, which the market was pretty well long, it's not a bad place to take some off. Again, you're at the top of the channel. It's actually, the chart was forming a wedge. So you can go back to about $40 now and still be at the bottom of that upward channel. That's where I'd be looking to maybe put on some new longs.
Okay, interesting. So looking at the range and the channel that you mentioned here, it's been like this very gradual but pretty steady one to the upside. Is there a price? Is it $40 that it starts to become interesting to you?
Yes, it's actually high 39s, low 40s. That's where you probably start taking a look at some longs there. And I mean, obviously the dynamics can change, but that channel's pretty well established. And when you see those daily price ranges compress and compress and compress into that wedge, you know that there's likely to be a breakout in one direction or the other to make the channel sort of parallel again. And that's what we're seeing to the breakout of the downside, which to me is a better scenario. I like to see those wedges break out to the downside so they can add at what would be the lower end of that channel. And again, that comes in somewhere right around $40.
Okay, and it is, I think, an interesting move here on the chart, as you point out. It definitely stands out as a pretty sizable candle to the downside, but that steady climb we've had apparently leaves plenty of support to look for a place to get in. How much of this also comes into the dollar, Bob? We got a little bit of a bounce in the dollar today. I mean, it still looks like it's trending lower over the past couple months, but maybe it's slowed a little bit, its descent. Does that change any of our assumptions about things like gold in the market or the commodity space?
To be honest, Oliver, I was surprised at the size of the move in silver and gold, specifically silver, because the dollar move, that rebound you're talking about, it happened, but it really wasn't substantial at all. It didn't get above any key resistance that I see.
Okay.
What you saw is a small move up in the dollar, which might have coincided as much with the weakness that we saw in the pound, third largest component of the basket of currencies that the dollar index trades again. The pound was really weak today, down 1% on the lows, as you saw Andrew Bailey speaking from the Bank of England's perspective as to how weak the UK economy, very, very rare that you and I talk UK economy, but the FTSE is down below the levels that it fell to June 24th of 2016 when Brexit was voted on. So UK being very weak obviously gave a little bit of strength to the dollar as well. So I was surprised in the move in the precious metals. I didn't participate on the long side of it yet. Bitcoin as well. The moves were larger, more explained by volatility in Bitcoin than you would see in gold. But again, I'm still bullish silver and gold in the medium term. I don't have a position right now, however.
Okay, so I like the take here on the dollar's bounce, not really being anything to derail the trend. I think that resonates pretty well on the technical side of it. You mentioned Bitcoin. I want to hit that too because it's gotten pretty choppy. It really hasn't gone anywhere now for the better part of, call it 4 weeks or so, between about 12 and a half, 11 and a quarter on the downside. That's pretty much where we're bouncing again. Are there important areas you're looking at? What happens if we don't get above those 2019 levels, Bob? How much time do we give it? Because when Bitcoin fails to make highs, sometimes things get bloody thereafter.
Well, a couple of things about Bitcoin and about gold. If you're somebody who's looking for safety, I still don't want to call Bitcoin that, but again, I've been stealing your phrase as to what Bitcoin is. I'll let you say it. From a perspective of the assets themselves, you can buy treasuries and have basically a zero yielding asset with a finite duration, or you can have gold and Bitcoin, which are limited in, by the way, treasuries also unlimited supply. Gold and Bitcoin, which are limited supply, zero yielding, and infinite duration, essentially, with the two of those. So I can't remember the first time I told you I was accumulating Bitcoin, and each time I tell you the new level that I'm accumulating at. I'm still accumulating Bitcoin, but now it's between about 9 and 10,000, where it's a pretty solid level, and that level's been trending up for me. I started about 3,000, went to about 6,000, now we're at about 9,000. It doesn't bother me to see the volatility in Bitcoin because it's just the nature of the beast. So if we can get a pullback to 9, 10,000 in Bitcoin versus US dollar, I like it there.